distance, he could smell the scent of human flesh. A child's flesh, to be precise. He raised his head in the air and stood perfectly still, his misshapen body hunched over, hiding in the underbrush outside the village. Ashbury was a small coastal village in Northumberland. You could see all the way to Samdon Isle from here, just a few miles off the coast. The small cottages were overgrown with ivy. The church was centuries old. And throughout these centuries, people have always told dark tales. Like that of Cascabel, a deformed creature that came at night and feasted on the flesh of children. Lightning streaked across the sky, briefly illuminating his face. Only this was no story. He had lived in the shadows for many years. His face was hideously distorted, his skin nearly white. His hands were like sharp claws. And he was hungry.
And when she opened her eyes, she saw that the brave prince had defeated the evil monster. And then the prince kissed her, and they lived happily ever after.
Oh, please feed me another. I'm not tired.
It's time for bed.
But I want another.
Benny, listen to your mother.
But what happened to the monster in the story?
Godfrey Wilbur leaned over and stroked his son's hair.
These old stories. They're not true, you know. They're no monsters. There's nothing out there.
Go to sleep. We're right next door.
Good night, Mum. Good night, Dad.
Good night. I love you.
Here's your bunny.
Thank you.
Little Benny turned over in his bed, away from the window, hugging his toy bunny tightly to his chest, and then he closed his eyes. But there was something out there. Benny didn't see the shadow rising in front of the window.
Bunny, did you hear that? Hello? Probably just the wind.
Benny listened intently for a few seconds. Nothing. He closed his eyes again. Cascabel waited until the boy was asleep. Then he slowly crept into the room. He made hardly any sound at all. He rose up next to the boy. His shadow loomed large in the moonlight. He raised his claw-like hands. When Benny opened his eyes, he was staring at a hideous face.
Help!
No. Quiet.
Oh my God! You! Get away from him!
Daddy!
Cascabel turned to look. The child's father stood in the doorway, pointing the shotgun at him.
Ah! What? What is that?
I don't know!
Benny, come here!
Mummy!
Oh, Benny!
Cascabel stared in terror at the rifle.
Shoot!
Quick as lightning, Cascabel turned, but the shot missed him, mostly. But he still felt the sting of a few pellets as they tore into his leg. He stumbled towards the window. The man raised the shotgun again. The second shot shattered the window, and with one leap, Cascabel was outside, sliding down the roof. He was bleeding, his leg hurt, and he was still hungry. So hungry. But there was no time. He had to get away to Samdon Isle, his home. The door opened, and he could see the outline of the man in the doorframe.
Get the dogs!
They came after him with torches, dogs, and rifles.
You are not loved. You are hated. You are hunted.
Cascabel had no idea where the voice had come from. He heard it in his head. He turned around. There was nothing but darkness. There, a light. He ran, but they were on him.
I see him.
He raised his hand against the glare of the torch.
Down, monster!
The man raised his shotgun.
Cascabel, I can help you. I can bring you home. Nocte Meridian.
Yes, please!
But I need something in return.
Anything! Who's he talking to? What difference does it make now?
Will you serve me?
Yes! Yes, I will! Stop talking, you freak! Shoot!
Do I have your word? Your bond?
You have my word!
Very well.
Shut up, you beast! Shoot him already!
But then, something unexpected happened.
What's going on? What's going on? I can't! I can't!
He found he no longer had control over his own hands. He raised the rifle up, away from his intended target.
What are you doing?
He was trying to fight it, but his own hands wouldn't obey him any longer. Against his will, the shotgun was now pointing at his companion.
This isn't me!
The shotgun unloaded into his stomach, tearing it to shreds. His intestines splattered over the ground.
No!
Then, the unseen force turned his hands around, pointing the shotgun at himself.
No!
His own hands, no longer controlled by him, pushed the barrel into his mouth. His eyes were bulging in fear, and then his finger twitched on the trigger. Pieces of brain and skull scattered through the night. His lifeless body dropped to the ground.
I am your servant. I am your servant. O King of Devils.
There is a darkness that is more than an absence of light. It's a living thing. It takes you completely. My name is John Sinclair. I work for Scotland Yard, Special Division. I woke up in the middle of the night. I'd felt a sudden, sharp pain, a voice crying out, and then silence. The moonlight shone through the window. Everything was still. I was in my flat. It was almost 4 in the morning. I opened the bottle on my nightstand and took out the pills that kept me human. 2 little red pills, like rubies. A little over 2 months ago, I had become infected. But it wasn't just a normal illness. It was something else. It was intelligent. I almost died. I had crossed over, but I came back. And ever since then, I could feel it inside me, whispering to me.
John? Are you all right?
Fine.
You don't sound fine. You were screaming.
I looked at Samantha Nichols lying next to me in bed, the bed sheets draped over her naked body, her red hair flowing, blending into the semi-darkness. She gently caressed my shoulders. Her hands were warm against my cold skin.
What's going on?
Nothing.
John, don't do this.
Do what?
You're not being honest with me. Or yourself. There's a part of you that's always hidden, and not just from me.
I didn't ask for your advice.
I care about you, John. You can talk to me.
I can't. There are things I can't... can't talk about.
The Shelby Theatre in East London was a run-down cabaret, offering second-rate music and vaudeville acts. It seemed like a throwback to a bygone era. The night was young, but the audience was already, well, tipsy.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, London's latest magical sensation, the man, the myth, the magic. Please give a warm welcome to the mysterious Monsieur Sourette.
Thank you. Good evening, mesdames et messieurs. Je suis Sourette, le magicien de Paris. Welcome, bienvenue. What you are about to see will be...
The man's real name was Charlie Pickle, and he'd forgotten his line. Again. He'd had perhaps one too many whiskies before the show to help him get over his stage fright.
Astonishing! Yes! Yes, you will see astonishing feats of magique!
He wore a suit that was missing a few buttons, and his cape had a hole in it. He bowed deeply.
And now for our first illusion!
Charlie called himself the Magnificent Sourette, because he felt it sounded more mysterious and a tad more distinguished than Pickle. But still, he was clumsy, on stage and off. He wanted to pull a long-stemmed rose out of a top hat.
Voila!
But then,
Oops.
he dropped the hat.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's all part of the show, you see? It's all part of the illusion.
The Rose Hotel wasn't exactly one of London's finest establishments. The sheets were stained, there were cracks in the wall, and the neon lights from the street sifted in through the torn curtains. But it was all he could afford. Charlie Pickle was a failure. The show had been a disaster, and as always, Charlie came back to an empty room, an empty life. He had failed at everything in this life. His career, his marriage. So he drowned his sorrows in cheap whiskey.
Pickle, you owe me money!
Go away!
Didn't you hear? I want my money! You're staying in this room, you've got to pay the rent, you hear?
His landlord was a large, overweight fellow with a mean glint in his eyes.
This place is a dump. The faucet is dripping.
You owe me back rent. Pay up or you're out.
But
I said pay up.
All right, all right. Whatever you say. Let me go. I'll get your money. I'll get it. Here. It's all I have left.
Not my problem. And don't forget the next payment.
Oh.
Charlie collapsed onto the bed. He stared at the ceiling. The lights of the passing cars and the neon adverts from the street below threw eerily cascading, colorful shadows on the ceiling. He reached for the bottle.
Who's that?
Was he going mad? No. He'd heard it.
Charlie.
Who are you?
You're a failure, Charlie.
What? Who is this? Is this some kind of joke?
You're the joke, Charlie. They're laughing at you on that stage. Isn't it time you put away those childish things?
Who's talking?
You are, Charlie. I'm you. The voice of reason.
No, you're not me. You're not! What? What are you? What is this?
Look in the mirror.
When he opened the bathroom door, he could feel something, a prickling on the skin. The noose was hanging above the bathtub. It was swinging back and forth like a pendulum. Back and forth. Back and forth.
Your destiny awaits.
What is this?
Don't you think it's time?
Yes.
It felt as if he was no longer in control of his own body. His feet moved forward, heavily, one after the other, towards the swinging noose.
Samantha Nichols was already waiting for me at a small table near the end of the restaurant. She wore a black dress and high heels. She looked stunning and upset. Giovanni's was a small, cozy Italian place in Holborn. I walked up to her table, our table.
John, I've been waiting forever.
I'm so sorry. I had to file a report.
You could have called.
How about some wine?
Talk to me. What's going on?
Let's just enjoy tonight, shall we?
You saved my life, John, and I'll never forget that. But you can't only be that, my savior. If what we have is meant to be real, then we have to see eye to eye. You have to trust me, John.
I thought of all the pictures in my folder back home. The photos of all the people I didn't save. The little girl I had killed in combat. Well, perhaps you're making a mistake.
Perhaps I am.
What are you doing?
I've been asking myself that. What am I doing here? Even when you're not working, when we're together, you're not really here. Maybe this was a mistake.
Samantha. Samantha! She left. I sat back down on my chair. I could still smell her scent in the room.
The London morgue first opened for business in 1884. People were doing then what they are still doing now. Dying. The dead bodies had to be stored somewhere. Chris Peabody was a small, rotund fellow. He wasn't exactly sociable, so the work in the morgue suited him. His colleague, Mr. Ralston, was tall and skinny. He was wearing headphones and listening to heavy metal. They were pushing a gurney with the body of Mr. Charles Pickle down the white, tiled corridor. Roughly an hour ago, his landlord had heard disturbing noises and had called the police. When they broke the door down, they found Mr. Pickle had hung himself in the bathroom. It was obviously a suicide. He had been drinking, and the landlord could attest to how poorly his mental state had been of late.
Ready? Go. Headphones, take them off.
Sorry.
Turn it off.
All right, all right.
Can we please get to work now?
Dr. Smythe Peters was an assistant coroner. He'd been working at the morgue for more than 8 years. Right now, he was preparing the tools of his trade for the next autopsy. Mr. Charles Pickle. He had completed his external examination. He then reached for his scalpel to make a Y-shaped incision.
Hello? Anyone there? Hello? This is not funny, you know, even if that's you.
Dr. Smythe Peters went to the door and looked into the hallway. There was no one there.
What the?
Cascabel had snuck in through the loading area. Right now, he was crouching underneath one of the examination tables, a scalpel in his hand.
Hello? Oh my... God!
In the flickering neon light, he saw a man. At least he thought it was a man. It was a small, misshapen thing with a bald head and dark eyes.
My master.
Who are you?
My master wants him.
Who? What on earth are you talking about?
Him.
The deformed man pointed at the body on the examination table, at Mr. Charles Pickle.
Are you insane? Put down that scalpel now. Put it down.
Oh, but Cascabel had no intention of putting it down. Again and again, the scalpel entered the man's tender flesh, and soon, Cascabel was splattered with blood. Cascabel walked over to the lifeless body of Mr. Pickle. He held his hand over the corpse.
God of my flesh, God of my desire, God of my flesh, God of my desire, take this vessel, take this rotting body.
The overhead lights were flickering, and then the man's eyes flicked open clumsily. The body lifted itself up.
It's good to be back, Master.
Slowly, Charlie Pickle put his feet down. He was walking like a child, taking his first tentative steps. But soon, very soon, he began to feel more confident.
Oh, my master. You have done well. Thank you. What the...
Ian Ralston was standing in the doorway. His mouth was hanging open, and there was something odd in his eyes. Something like madness. He dropped his tray. He was frozen in terror. The being inside Sourette reached for the scalpel.
Don't hurt me. Please. God!
There is no God.
What in the... I tore open the door. Sir James was standing outside.
It's 4 in the morning. The law never sleeps.
Apparently.
We have a situation.
Of course we do.
This report just came in.
A double murder? At the morgue?
Well done. I'm pleased to see that you can read in your state.
What state?
You're drunk.
It's not illegal.
The alleged murderer was a chap named Charles Pickle. Odd name, I know.
Who?
He killed the assistant coroner, Dr. Smythe Peters, and one of the morgue attendants. But 1 hour before the ghastly murder, Mr. Pickle had been admitted to the morgue as a suicide.
Suicide?
You heard right. The living dead at the London morgue.
Sir James didn't exactly give me a choice. 2 men dead, and a corpse had vanished. It didn't take long to get to the morgue. It was just before 5 in the morning. Traffic was light at this hour. Everyone was in bed. Everyone but me. The crime scene was blocked off by tape. I was met by the supervising detective, Mr. Billings, a small, overweight fellow with an unhealthy pallor to him.
Are you Sinclair?
Last I checked. What have we got?
Well, I suppose it's some kind of practical joke.
Double murder. Hilarious. Sir James said one of the bodies had gone missing.
Well, yes, it's I'm at a loss here, frankly.
Let me see the scene. The bodies were lying on the floor, covered by sheets. The tiles around them were covered with blood.
The murderer attacked Mr. Ralston from here, stabbed him with his scalpel, and over here, that's the body of the assistant coroner, Dr. Smythe Peters.
He lifted a sheet. The man had practically been slaughtered. What about Pickle?
Yes, that's very strange. He's gone. The footprints, it's as if he got up and walked. I can't explain it.
Some things can't be explained.
I suppose that's what you lads are for, eh? Special division and all. The demon hunter.
Please don't call me that.
Beg pardon. I just, how is this possible?
I spoke to the surviving morgue attendant. He confirmed the story. Mr. Charles Pickle, otherwise known as the magnificent Sourette, a second-rate stage magician, had committed suicide only an hour before his body vanished. I drove to the Rose Hotel, Mr. Pickle's last known address. I looked at the room, but found nothing useful. The landlord of the hotel wasn't much help either, so I decided to speak with the manager of the Shelby Theatre.
Yes, Sourette. I know him.
New.
Sorry?
Past tense. New.
What are you talking about?
You don't know?
Know what?
Mr. Pickle committed suicide last night.
He what?
Hanged himself.
When?
Last night at the Rose Hotel.
That's impossible.
And why is that?
Because I just talked to him.
According to the manager, Mr. Pickle had called him and confirmed his engagement for tonight. It didn't make much sense. A dead man who turned out to be very much alive. He killed 2 people. And now he was about to give a performance at the Shelby Theatre. It was the one show in town I couldn't afford to miss. And then I saw someone in the theatre lobby.
John, there you are.
Samantha?
You seem surprised.
What are you doing here?
You invited me. Don't you remember?
I didn't.
I thought you wanted to see me.
I didn't invite you.
You really know how to make a girl feel good. Here, you sent me a letter. At least, I thought you did.
I glanced at the letter. Forgive me, darling, it said. You're the most important thing in my life, and I'm sorry that... I never wrote that. It's a trap.
I see.
Samantha, don't. I went after her and held her arm. Please don't go, not again.
And why not? You're just playing games with me. You're...
Sometimes there's only one thing to do. Kiss the girl.
John, I don't understand.
I don't either. I pulled her close and whispered in her ear. But I think you're in danger.
You're mad.
I would go mad if I lost you.
John, I think I'm in love with you. Please don't break my heart.
I'll protect you. She let me embrace her. I could feel her heart beating against my chest.
I still think I should go. Just leave you here, you brute.
You should. I'm not good for you.
No, you're not.
We went inside to our seats, but I was worried. Someone or something had lured Samantha Nichols here. I knew I had to be on my guard.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's performer is truly special. The magnificent Sourette is a master of magic and mystery. What you're about to see will make you believe the impossible.
The show was, frankly, incredible. Sourette did more than simply make things appear and disappear. He did things that made me doubt my sanity.
And for my next trick, I would like to ask someone in our audience to volunteer.
His dark gaze went through the auditorium. And then he looked at me. For a moment, it seemed as if he was staring straight into my soul.
The lady over there.
Me?
If you'd be so kind, please.
She rose to her feet. Samantha, don't! She didn't appear to hear me. I touched her arm, but she ignored me. She walked onto the stage.
What is your name, please?
Samantha Nichols.
And where are you from, Miss Nichols?
Here, London. Hammersmith.
From Hammersmith. And where are you going?
What do you mean?
After the show.
Well, home.
What if I told you that you will go someplace else entirely? A place outside of space and time.
I'm not sure I follow you.
You will, Miss Nichols, you will. We all play the part that's been assigned to us. Come, I want to show you something. Would you step into this cabinet?
In here?
Yes, in here.
In the middle of the stage stood a large cabinet. Next to it, on a side table, was a sword. "Don't do it," I whispered to myself. But she did. Of course she did.
All the way in, please. I'll close the door.
I stood up.
Sir, is everything all right, sir?
Well, I...
Don't worry, sir. You'll see her again shortly. It's magic, you see.
I took my seat again. It was almost as if someone was pressing me down. I felt as if I was in a daze. I'd made a fool of myself. But I felt that something wasn't right. This wasn't just a trick. This was some darker magic. I tried to raise my head and found that I couldn't. There was nothing I could do.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, you have all seen her enter the cabinet with your own eyes, have you not? So, were I to take this sword, I could conceivably injure the poor woman, could I not?
Sourette walked with the sword towards the cabinet.
And if I were to plunge this blade into the cabinet...
At the bottom of the cabinet, I saw a thick red liquid, slowly oozing onto the stage.
Samantha, no!
All of a sudden, I was able to move again. I leapt to my feet and staggered through the audience.
Are you concerned, sir?
Samantha!
Finally, I reached the stage and climbed up onto it.
Samantha!
I opened the cabinet. It was empty.
You see? Magic!
Where is she? Where is she?
We have her now, Johnny.
I looked down. There was no blood. There was nothing.
Give her back! Sourette, give her back!
My dear sir, you will see her again in good time.
I reached for him. I grabbed his lapel.
What I said, give her back! No!
I grasped his throat with both hands.
Give her back! Cotton!
The curtain fell. My legs gave in. I pulled Sourette down with me. And then I noticed the smell.
You can't kill me, John Sinclair. I'm already dead.
His stage makeup was smeared, and I could see that his skin was decayed. He had purple bruises on his neck from where he'd hung himself.
My God. There is no God here. There's only me. I offered you a truce, don't you remember? And you said...
No!
You made your choice, Johnny.
Where is she? Where is Samantha?
I let go of Sourette. He grinned at me.
Samantha! Where are you?
I staggered around, trying to find where her voice was coming from. I was aimless, adrift. I stumbled a few steps and found myself backstage. I started to topple over the props, the magic equipment used in the show.
Samantha!
Then I tore a drop cloth off a full-length mirror. I looked into the mirror, but I didn't see myself. I saw Samantha. She was banging against the glass from inside. I looked around, helpless. And then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw something. A blade gleamed in the work light. A sharp object came at me. I dodged, and the blade hit the mirror.
Samantha!
I turned around. A deformed man was standing in front of me. He was holding Sourette's sword in both hands. I dodged his blow, then I turned around facing him.
Come on.
His second attack was faster than the last one. But suddenly, the sword stopped in midair. It simply hung there.
Cascabel, don't hurt him, please.
Master!
Sourette had his hand in the air. He pulled it back and the sword was thrust out of the creature's grip.
He is our Messiah, the one who will bring us home.
Yes, Master.
Come.
Yes, Master.
Hold it right there. I want to know where Samantha is.
Of course you do. You're always the one saving people, aren't you? You will do anything to find her. Otherwise, what would be the point of taking her?
He held out his hand. My gun hand started to move, as if it had its own will. I tried fighting against it, but I had no control over my arm. The gun came closer and closer to my face, my mouth.
This is what it feels like, Sinclair, looking at death. You've been a master of death, haven't you?
His will forced the gun into my mouth. My heart was beating fast.
Bang.
The gun fell to the ground.
Go to the gate of Nocte Meridian. There you will find her.
I felt a sudden gust of wind rising around me, tugging at me. I was thrown backwards. And then everything went black. When I came to, I was on a stretcher outside the theater. An ambulance was parked nearby. A cold wind was blowing.
Ah, Sinclair, finally. Nap time is over.
Samantha?
Gone. What happened, Sinclair? Witnesses say you lost your mind during the performance.
I lost more than that. I told Sir James what had happened, including what Sourette said.
The gate of Nocte Meridian?
Yes. Do you know anything about it?
You've mentioned it before. I asked Miss Perkins in Control to do some research.
And?
It's a place, we think, but it's also much more than that. It's an idea, a spiritual concept. The realm of demons and spirits, their home, their sanctuary, their promised land.
How do I get there?
Ah, yes. Take a look at that.
He handed me a folder. I opened it. The pictures in the folder were gruesome. What happened?
A Mr. Godfrey Wilbur killed his friend with a shotgun, then killed himself. A hunting accident, the local police said.
But you don't believe it?
No, I don't. Mr. Wilbur's widow claims her husband was out hunting a devil.
Tell me more.
According to local legends, there's a creature that had been stalking their community for decades, snatching children at night. This so-called hunting accident happened less than a day before Mr. Pickle's suicide. I think there might be a connection.
Where is this community?
The coast of Northumberland. This is where it gets interesting. It's overlooking an island, Samdon Isle. The locals also call it the Devil's Isle. It's rumored to be one of the gates of hell.
I took a flight to Edinburgh and rented a car at the airport. Then I took route A68 south, past Dalkeith, towards the coast. I had my service weapon with me, my Beretta 92. I don't leave home without it. It wasn't a long drive, but the weather was getting worse. But I had to get to Samdon Isle before it was too late.
I strongly advise you to stay indoors. The National Weather Service has issued a severe storm warning with winds of up to 25 miles.
You can be a winner too, but if you don't play, we won't pay. So take a chance. What's your destiny?
Ashbury was a small fishing village by the coast. I stopped at the local pub. I needed help, and it seemed like as good a place as any to ask for it.
Close the damn door.
We're trying to drink in here.
Oh, for God's sake, you got a press against it.
Put some force into it.
What'll it be?
Guinness, please. And do you know anyone here who owns a boat?
Yeah? Why would you need a boat?
I need to go to Devil's Isle.
I wouldn't do that if I were you.
I'm sorry?
The place is haunted, they say. And anyways, there's nothing out there but old ruins.
You know the island?
Everyone knows the island. Everyone knows to steer clear of it.
Do you have a boat?
Well, yes. Well,
how much?
Sorry?
How much for your boat? The old man drove a hard bargain, but in the end I convinced him to sell me his boat. Not rent, but sell. He was convinced he'd never see it again. For the money I paid him, he could buy 3 boats. We shook on it.
There she is, the Aberline.
It was a small, beaten-up motorboat. He gave me the keys.
She doesn't look like much, but she'll get you there, if the waves don't kill you.
Thank you, Mr.
Douglas. Kirk Douglas.
Like that old actor?
Yes, like that old actor. Now, get out of here before I change my mind. I don't like people making fun of my name.
I set out across the stormy sea, towards the Devil's Isle. The winds were getting stronger by the minute, but I couldn't wait. A short while later, I saw the island in front of me. Lightning tore across the sky. The shoreline of Devil's Isle was stark and jagged. The storm was raging all around me. I knew I would be trapped out here, but just like the man on the radio said, no play, no pay. I found a reasonably calm inlet and moored the boat. Then I climbed up the rocky shore. I checked my Beretta. I had a full clip, sterling silver. My torchlight had fresh batteries. I was ready, or so I thought. Leaning against the wind, I pushed forward towards the dark ruins ahead. It was an unearthly sight. The ruins of an old castle, sticking out of the muddy earth like skeleton fingers, reaching for the sky. The arches half broken, the ground littered with rocks and sunken tombstones. They were here. I followed the sounds into the old courtyard. Ahead of me, I saw a dark opening, a passageway. I moved towards it very carefully. The path led down, deeper and deeper. Finally, I found myself in an underground chamber. The darkness was nearly total. And then...
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. What you are about to see will change your life forever.
In the middle of the chamber, a pentagram had been drawn on the ground, in blood. I saw animal carcasses strewn everywhere. Flies were buzzing. The room was illuminated by torches, and in the middle of the pentagram stood Sourette himself. He was decaying rapidly now. His voice sounded unearthly. His skin was rotting and cracked open in some places. Maggots were crawling out of his face.
Let's get on with the show, ladies and gentlemen. We don't have a lot of time left. Tick-tock, tick-tock. And as you can see, this rotting body will soon fail me.
Sourette!
But that is not my name. Not truly. We all know what it is, don't we?
Asmodeus.
King of devils and servant to none. Now you see me, but soon I'm gone.
John, help me!
Next to Sourette stood Samantha. She was tied to a large wooden stake. She was standing on firewood. In front of her was a large flat rock, like an altar.
Samantha! I see we have a volunteer from the audience. Will you please step up here, Mr. Sinclair? Come closer. Closer. Tonight, we will cross all lines, all boundaries, moral or otherwise. Tonight, Mr. Sinclair, you will kill the thing you love.
I will kill you if you don't let her go.
Patience. Every magic trick is a story in 3 parts. And we wouldn't want to give away the ending before it's time. Now would we?
An excruciating pain shot through me. I heard voices in my head. My pulse was throbbing. I collapsed onto my knees. He held me down through the sheer force of his will. I couldn't move.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to make 3 daring predictions. Would you like to hear my prediction?
Yes! Yes! Yes!
First, John Sinclair will betray everything he stands for, everything he believes in. Yes, you heard me. He will betray himself. What do you say? And the second prediction, John Sinclair will do me a little favor.
Yes!
Before the night is over, he will open the gate to Nocte Meridian.
Despite the agony in my head, I could see. The shadows around me were taking shape. I was not alone in the darkness. It was alive. Something was moving all around me. There were beings, dozens of them, hundreds of them, moving in the dark.
We need you, Mr. Sinclair. You are our Messiah. We need you to open the gate.
Never.
Oh, don't say that. You'd be surprised what men will do with the right incentive. Which brings me to my third and final prediction. Before the night is over, John Sinclair will kill the woman he loves.
No! I raised my gun. I fired 3 bullets. Sourette was knocked over, but then, to my horror, he slowly got back up again.
You can't kill me, Johnny. I'm dead inside.
He came closer. The stench of his decay was overpowering. His rotting face was grinning at me. Pieces of flesh fell off his cheek and slid down his face.
Tick-tock, tick-tock.
I tried to raise my gun again, but he wouldn't let me. I could feel his force.
Don't shoot me, old boy. Shoot her. The one you love.
No! Samantha!
Get me out of here, John!
Oh dear, what a predicament. How is our hero going to get out of this one? How will he save the girl?
Let her go! Let her go!
And what will you do for me if I let her go?
Let her go!
What is your destiny? If you let her live, will you open the gate?
No!
But you see, all of us here, the entire audience, the spirits around you, we all just want to go home to Nocte Meridian.
Yes!
Your kind has hunted us for centuries. I offered you a truce, but you refused. But all we want, all we ever wanted, is to live in peace among our kind. How about this? You open the gate, and I don't kill her.
I looked up and saw Cascabel splashing petrol from a canister all around Samantha. I tried to move, to do something, anything, but the demon's force had me pinned down. I was helpless.
Save me!
Yes, I'll do it.
Yes, and there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. John Sinclair will open the gate if I don't kill our second contestant, Miss Samantha Nichols of Hammersmith.
But the creature kept pouring the petrol. Stop it! I'll open the damn gate, just stop it!
I'm afraid I can't. Let me remind you of the particulars of our deal. You will open the gate, and I will not kill her. It's simple. All we need is 3 drops of blood on that altar stone. Drip, drip, drip. Whose blood, you may ask? Why, the blood of a loved one.
No!
I will not kill her, but you will. You will kill your love, and her blood, those 3 oh so precious drops of it, will open the gate.
No!
Then Cascabel lit a match.
No! Stop it! Stop it!
Only you can stop it now.
The flames were eating into her clothes. Her screams of agony rose.
No! No! God, no!
Make it stop! Make it stop!
Only you can end her suffering. It takes a long time for a human body to burn. Every second is an eternity. Do you really want her to endure that? And here I thought you loved her.
And then I did. I made it stop. Her suffering was over, and as the flames devoured her lifeless body, her open eyes were staring at me. There was a hole in her forehead, and a trickle of blood ran down, down, down.
Well done, Mr. Sinclair. Now the question is, what are you going to do next? Norte Meridian.
John Sinclair Demon Hunter, Episode 12, Some Darker Magic, audio movie by Gabriel Conroy, based on the original novel by Jason Dark. John Sinclair was played by Andrew Wincott. The narrator was Anthony Scordi. Sir James Powell was played by David Rintoul. Samantha Nichols by Alex Dunmore. Sourette by Kerry Shale. And Cascabel by Tim Bentinck. Asmodus was played by Peter Marinka. Godfrey Wilbur by Ian Dickinson. Mrs. Wilbur by Alex Wilton Regan. Benny Wilbur by Max First. And Douglas by Harry Myers. Mr. Billings was played by Steve First. The manager was Ben Maddox. The announcer was Daniel Kendrick. The pub owner was Dan Mersch. And Ian Ralston was Nico Lennon. Recorded from March to June 2016 at OM UK Studios, London. The recording engineer was Juan Manuel Delfin. The voice director, Douglas Velbat. Creative director, Patrick Simon. And the casting consultant was Victoria Prentice. The executive producer was Mark Zieper. Post-production provided by Ear to Brain Productions. A Luba audio production, all rights reserved.